There's still nothing like getting a fresh pair of Jordans. It never gets old. It's one of those things where it makes me feel like a kid again, still, and it's one of the few things that does that for me. And I've been making videos for a long time. I have hundreds of videos on Jordan retros, still never gets old. Recently, if you haven't noticed, there's a few things going on and it feels like there's a shift in the sneaker world. And I just want to talk about Jordan Brand for a second. It's my favorite brand. I've said that for a long time. It still is. I don't see that changing. But there's a few things that just are becoming a little bit more glaringly obvious to me that I want to discuss. And I hope that whoever sees this video, if for some reason Jordan Brand sees this video, I hope that you don't think this is just another sneakerhead, another sneaker collector that's just chirping, complaining, using 20 exclamation points underneath your social media accounts, bashing the brand or saying things without knowing any context. This is coming from a fan. I've worked with Jordan Brand before, I've worked with Nike before, and I say that to let you know that I don't mean any of this negatively. This is, at worst, constructive criticism, and I just want to put this out there in a super casual way, see if any of you guys have the same thoughts that I have. So I'm gonna run through like 10 points and have this be something that maybe we look back on in 5 years and we say they addressed that, they changed that, because Jordan Brand does change things. They do. The biggest example that I can think is stepping up their quality. As far as the materials go on their shoes, it's not every single shoe is better, but for the most part, the releases that we see material-wise are better than they were 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the materials were a problem, and even prior to that, they addressed that. So they do listen. So let's get into this. 10 things that I want Jordan Brand to know. And I'm gonna start with a bang. The number one objective, I personally think, from a consumer standpoint, just my opinion, going forward, that you have to address is the comfort of your shoes. The Jordan Retro line, comfort-wise, is average. Now, I know that's not what the brand stands for. It is retro basketball, it's heritage. I know what the brand stands for, but when you created this sneaker, you opened up a can of worms and you allowed the consumer to realize what was possible. You know, when you put on a pair of these and you put on the Thunder 4s or any kind of newer Air Jordan release from the past 3 years, they don't stack up. You want people to wear your shoes all day, every day. You do not want any of your shoes to be a source of pain. Personally, I've not bought a pair of shoes, a pair of Jordans, because I knew that they were gonna be uncomfortable. Secondly, the age of the people buying your shoes are getting older. You know that. We're not going away from Jordans. We're figuring out ways to incorporate them in our everyday looks. So we need something that's gonna support that lifestyle. For me, honestly, it is underneath a microscope. When I first revealed to my audience that I had this shoe, the number one question was, how comfortable are they? And that's something that you can easily address, in my opinion. It doesn't have to be a gimmick either. It doesn't need to be the Zoom Jordan 1s. It doesn't need to be branded with some new cushioning. Just make the change. Once the streets find out a shoe is comfortable, we're gonna be in it. Think about some of the other shoes that are out on the market that are, you know, honestly ugly, but people still wear them because they're very comfortable. Think about that. They'll sacrifice looks to not be in pain. And I know that that's not your target audience, but if some of those people want to spend a little bit more money and look a little bit more fashionable, and they go and get one of your pairs of shoes and they're like, oh yeah, these are comfortable and stylish, all of a sudden you acquire a new customer. I know you're developing samples for fall 2026 right now, maybe 27. Think about comfort, please. Next, pricing. It's confusing. The pricing of a lot of Jordans is confusing. $215 for a pair of Jordan Retros is a lot of money. $200, period, for a Jordan Retro. Man, there have been times I looked at a shoe and I was like, nope, nope. If they were $190, maybe I'd do it. They're $200. It's only $10, right? But at some point, you just have to look at it and be like, $10 too much. You kept the price point of $190 for so long. I think 5 or 6 years, you kept it at $190, and I was convinced that that's where it was gonna top out. That's where it needs to be. Moving it up $10 to $200, I honestly think it was a huge mistake. It's just something visually that it feels like you're asking for too much. And then on the other side of things, you have the basketball line, Tatum's, Luka's, Zion's, all of those performance shoes, which have newer tech in them, are around 120, 125. It doesn't feel right. So I know you're capable of putting out a good, comfortable shoe, Tatum's, for $125, and then what, I have to pay sometimes $100 more for a retro. I know it's a luxury item, but as a buyer, as a consumer, sometimes I'm scratching my head like, you know what? Not right now. And I know that there's price structures in place. I know that there's certain numbers that have to be hit and that items are priced in a certain way for a very specific reason. I get that, but I'm just giving you feedback. Next, sizing, specifically women's sizing. And I don't have a whole lot to say on this subject. It's just, I'm confused. I am. I'm a little confused on why certain things are extended sizing, why a certain shoe is labeled as women's. At first, I thought it was gonna be something special that you were doing for women. And maybe there's just something I'm not seeing and that still is the case. If so, bravo. Like, that's awesome. But I don't know. I'm just confused as to why one shoe is and one shoe isn't. Honestly, it feels like you're just trying to boost women's sales numbers, and it's just men buying the shoes, so it's kind of blanketed a little bit, and I'm confused by that. Nothing else. And just as an intermission and reminder, I'm a fan of the brand. I don't want this to be viewed as me complaining and me just, you know, talking down on the brand like I'm someone great. This is just a guy with a camera that buys a lot of Jordans, and it's feedback, right? It's feedback. Maybe it's, I don't know, is it corny for me to put this out on a public platform talking like this? I don't know. You guys can let me know. Next, nicknames, please. Give the shoes nicknames. Give us something. Why are the people having to figure out nicknames, make them up on their own? Give us something. Give us something. It's so easy. It's just a little extra something that matters, which brings us to our next point, storytelling. I thought maybe over the past 2 or 3 years that storytelling would get a little bit better and that we would have more whys around what colorways were being put on these retros. Like, why? Why is it that colorway? Any story behind a colorway will work. Honestly, it really will. If you think about just this one, for some reason sticks out to me, the Rookie of the Year Air Jordan 1s that are all in tan because Jordan wore a tan shirt, that's really easy. And why aren't there more stories like that? You could give me anything. Hey, these Air Jordan 6s are in this slate color because that's the color of the stone on Jordan's patio where he barbecues sometimes. That's fine with me. You know why? Because it's Michael Jordan we're talking about. Pair of Jordan 1s in this crazy loud color, they're inspired by Michael's garden. He has this plant in his backyard. It's got a little bit of pink in it. And that's why these Jordans are that color. Cool. I'd eat that up. I like it. You know why? Because it's Michael Jordan, the best basketball player of all time, and he doesn't do interviews. He doesn't have social media that I know of. He's not out there. He's not in the public eye. I want to know as much about him as possible. even the little things. Next, how are you telling those stories? And this one is a little bit choppy and dicey, and I don't know the ins and outs of it, but there is this little app that some of you may have heard of called the Sneakers app. A lot of content is on there. A lot of shoes are released there. What if you went outside that? What if you stopped relying on that so much and you separated yourself a little bit more from Nike and you started storytelling on a different platform? What if each month we went to a site and you told us what was releasing and the who, what's, and whys behind those designs? Let me hear from a designer. Let me hear from a celebrity. Let me hear from a content creator that can just give me their opinion about the shoe. Tell a story each month. What if it's not even on a website? I'm just spitballing here. What if it's on Netflix? What if each month you release a Jordan Brand Netflix episode, 20 minutes long, talking about the catalog of releases that month or 2 months in advance? Give us a little bit of behind the scenes look. That way we're consuming a product and content. Just give us more. I just need more than a colorway on a pair of Jordans at this point. I just need something. For some reason, there's just this disconnect and not a whole lot of context behind these colorways, and I don't know why. There's gotta be a reason to it, but I am not privy to it. Next, and kind of a doozy, you know this shoe. This is the Air Jordan 1. Arguably the best Air Jordan ever. Now, the sentiment is that it's oversaturated. Jordan 1s are dead, put them back in the vault, all that stuff. Well, honestly, don't. So many people judge a shoe by what it's reselling for and make it a bigger deal than it is. Do I think there's too many? Close. There's a lot out there, but maybe just scaling back a tad. And I know it's easy to say that, but what people don't understand is this thing called forecasting. It's almost like the brand is guessing what's gonna be popular 2 years in advance. Sure, they have some data and analytics to help them back up their case, but a lot of it is guessing, and that is probably the hardest job in footwear. So when you say Jordan 1s are dead, put them back in the vault, bro, a year's worth of Jordan 1s have already been made. Another year's worth are in production. Easier said than done. Yeah, in 2026, we may see less. But if there was ever gonna be a classic design that was flooding the streets, I'd rather it be these than Jordan 9s. So I think that's over exaggerated, but it also brings me to the next point, and I hope that this is the last one. I think it is. If this isn't exactly 10, sorry, but trends. Trends have changed, which is why you see more people in New Balance. And honestly, I think comfort is a huge factor with that. But the way we dress affects everything, and there's nothing that you can do about it. But if there's one brand that has survived all the trends over the years and still right here and still top dog, in my opinion, is Jordan Brand. You guys will always be forever. So I hope that you don't try to conform. All of a sudden these get a little bit more comfortable, get a few more stories behind them. Don't increase the price of the shoe. That's my 2 cents. Leave yours down in the comment section. If you have any, again, Jordan Brand, I love you. I really am a huge fan of the brand. That's not gonna change. So this is just a fan checking in. Subscribe if you're new around here. Don't forget to do that. Share the video or like it if you enjoyed this. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.